Absolutely.
Yeah, Neil. So, we all saw the renderings. I think that there's some parts of them were pretty intense, and I mean they're definitely Vegas. I didn't understand the armadillo reference. There's no armadillos in Nevada, but certainly that screen is something. It's something. It seems like it'd be tough to see from the first base side. It would be an intense situation if it was right behind you and over you. But that's Vegas, baby. But where does that leave? Where does that leave them? Once you have a render, that means you're able to build the stadium, right?
Yeah.
Easy.
I mean, there's a reason why I've started calling these renderings vapor texture, which is that, the initial design sometimes bears a vague resemblance to what's ultimately built, but oftentimes does not, right? It's just something to sort of get attention and get people excited. And yeah, I mean, the renderings are definitely a lot. I guess the armadillo thing is because the different segments of the roof kind of look like bands on an armadillo. Let's not forget that the original verbal description, right, was that they were going to somehow reflect baseball pennants.
Yeah, I
And
didn't
that
see
made
it.
even less
Yeah.
sense. So
Yeah.
armadillo at least is sort of creeping in the right direction. Stegosaurus, something in there. Um, but again, they needed to come up with something. There were two things you wanted them to come up with here, right? You wanted them to come up with something exciting and something that seemed realistic and sort of explained how it was going to work. And they did one of those things and not
Yeah.
the other at all, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we've got this thing that if it can be built, will certainly be striking. And that scoreboard that is somehow curved and attached to a fabric roof, and you can't see it from the whole, first base side. But I mean, it's definitely, the sort of thing that I would love to see built just to see how well or poorly it turns out. But, I mean, first
It's
of
like
all,
the
that's an awful
sphere.
lot.
I feel like they're going to kind of be like the sphere. They saw the sphere. So then I think John Fisher was quoted in the Susan Slusser's article in the San
Yeah.
Francisco Chronicle, being like, "Oh, I was blown away by this YouTube performance." So maybe he was like, "Oh, we can do that here in the baseball stadium." But it's like,
I mean,
ah,
I'll give them that the
yeah,
sphere sounded
yeah,
like a dumb idea, and it is what it claimed to be, right? They
yeah,
managed to build a sphere, but a sphere isn't that complicated, right?
yeah.
I mean,
But if it's
and
only in
they had
right
the
field, they have right field and left field and center field going. They only yeah, in the
yeah,
sphere. Yeah.
inside the sphere is pretty simple. And I just there's so much about these renderings that are just, so bizarre. The sun setting in places that the sun is not meant to set. The fact that it's standing somehow in this vast void when it really is going to be crammed into a corner of the site along with right, the new development. I mean, just it seems like they just went to, Bjark Ingels and said, give us something cool looking. And this is what they got. But I mean, I still don't understand how they're going to fit this on 9 acres. Even, if you say, well, uh, somehow it will fit along with, wasn't there a point at which they were saying that they were going to use part of the rest of the site for the roof to retract, but of course the roof isn't retracting now.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
it really does seem like the story changes every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neil, I knew that you and I were going to be fast friends because I think I noticed that you noticed the same thing that I did, which is in the seemingly AI generated crowd, there were a bunch of fans waving flags that were just solid green. And I didn't post anything about it. I just noted and I was like, that's funny. Neil, would you like to explain what that solid green flag is?
Well, I mean, I've looked at a lot of renderings. I mean, okay. And the first thing I always do is what are the fans doing? Because, there's only so much clip art that they have. And oftentimes they're holding flags. I don't know why. I guess because it looks cool. No matter the sport, they're usually holding giant flags. Even if there's a middle of a play going on and the flags will obscure people from seeing, they're still holding flags. So I'm like, oh, okay, let's see what the flags say. And they're just green. So I Google green, solid green flag. and it was the flag of Muammar Gaddafi's Libya.
Yeah.
Imposed during the time when he was in charge there. So I guess it's possible that, when they're saying that the Vegas Stadium will bring tourists, that he's talking about time travelers.
Hey,
Gaddafi's,
That's right.
worldwide, not
Hey,
just not the whole
the
country, but the
Ga-
whole world. Yeah.
Gaddafi family's got a lot of money to spend. They probably stole a lot of money before they were thrown out. But one of the things that the A's claimed that the reason why they couldn't show us these pictures for a long time was the Bally's wasn't ready, right? And they didn't want to show us something that was going to end up that we're going to have to throw out anyway. And I they've at least said, hey, here's what we want to build. But of course, the big thing that we were told, we can't see these renderings, because we need to know how the Tropicana looks, and where's the Tropicana?
Yeah.
I mean, from these renderings, the stadium looks like it's plumb in the middle, right smack in the middle again of that plot of land.
Maybe that's what the embargo was for.
Yeah.
Right? They released it and then claimed a few minutes later, oh, we meant to embargo this. Maybe the embargo was to let Bally's have a chance to get ready with their renderings, because those surely are coming soon.
The Gaddafi regime was always good at getting around embargoes. So,
oh,
well, one thing I noticed about this set of renderings, like the last ones from last May, there was more aerial views. You can kind of have a better feel for how much space of the 35-acre lot it would take up. From this, they're like street view, and they're inside the stadium where the whole stadium's in focus, so you can't really see how it spaces the whole lot. But there's no way this thing fits in 9 acres, right? I just, that was my initial thought, was there's no way this thing fits in 9 acres, right?
I don't think so. 9 acres is really small. I think even Wrigley Field is bigger than 9 acres, or right around that. And it's unclear what's going to be holding this roof up, right? It seems like there's some sort of truss work that holds the fabric, but you need something that's going to actually hold the roof, right? To support the weight. That's how engineering works. And it can't just be held up by the ground or the seats below it or something like that. So, I mean, you look at something like the Marlins Stadium, right, which has that retractable roof, and you watch it, even watching the games, there's these enormous posts, right, that are holding that up. Again, it's a little lighter if you're using fabric, but it doesn't seem to make an awful lot of sense. And no, I don't think it can fit on 9 acres, but I could be wrong. There could be some way to do it. But like you said, if they're trying to show this is going to fit with the Bally's development, then it would have been nice to see an image of it with the Bally's development, so we'd actually see how it's going to work, right? I mean, this again, it's not at all unusual to release these kind of things. It is a little bit unusual to release these kind of things when you've been asked these questions for 3 months, and then you release something that doesn't answer any of the questions.